Suffering and sacrifice. I'm pretty sure with a title like that, you're walking in this video assuming, man, Alex is turning a real negative guy. That's not the case. Let me explain. With Batman. So think about Batman and Bruce Wayne. Bruce's life is nothing but suffering and sacrifice. He doesn't get to enjoy his money. The only person he can be honest with is his butler. And every single weekend, he wakes up and gets stabbed, shot in the face, punched, and assaulted by men in makeup. It's a hard life. It's a hard life. So fast forward to 90-year-old Bruce on his deathbed. Gets a quiz saying, did you have a successful life? Are you happy with what you did in your life? Did you have a good life? Do you think he would check no? Probably not. Here's why. So imagine a different reality where Bruce doesn't become Batman. He sits around his entire life doing nothing, living for nothing, spending all of his money, partying, and watching his city burn while being super resentful about it, doing nothing about it. He's still suffering, obviously, but he's not doing anything about it. So imagine that 90-year-old Bruce in his deathbed. Gets the same exact quiz. Did you have a successful life? Did you have a good life? Did you have purpose? He'd check no. So the question is, which Bruce do you want to be? Do you want to be the Bruce that had the pointless life, or the Bruce that had the life that had a purpose? That's what the whole question comes down to, because happiness goes all over the place. So what you have to understand is that in either type of life, Bruce is going to suffer. In one life, he's going to suffer for what's important to him and what gives him purpose. In the other life, he's going to suffer from not doing anything that's important to him and not having purpose. You're going to suffer either way. And so the only choice you really have in life is, are you going to suffer for something that's worth it to you? That's what this video is all about. Because every single live stream, what I see is people asking me, how do I stop procrastinating? How do I stop doing this thing and this thing and this thing? Then also, how do I overcome my fear of starting a business? How do I overcome my fear of pursuing what I want out of life? A lot of times I'll give you a lot of regiments, a lot of things to do, a lot of things that you should include in your life, business models, the whole 9 yards. It really comes down to two simple things though. And once you get these things out of the way, everything else is going to fall in place. If you don't have these two things, it's impossible. Here are the two things. And if you don't have 2 minutes to understand these two things, it's going to be really hard to get your shit in order. It's going to take you a long time. It took me a long time. So here's how it works. So like I said before, in all my live streams, when you guys ask me questions live, be sure to look out for those, by the way. They're super duper. The number one question I get is either how do I stop doing certain things that I know are hurting me, or how do I get past the fear of pursuing what I want? It's not always start a business, but maybe you want to become a world-class video game designer, and it's going to take you years and years and years to reach that. There's going to be a lot of years of suffering. So what's really being asked here is, how do I sacrifice these things that I know hold me back? How do I sacrifice partying? How do I sacrifice getting drunk? How do I stop eating too much and feeling like crap all the time? How do I become disciplined? And what discipline is really forcing yourself to sacrifice things for the long term. That's really all it is. Holding yourself to a higher standard. How do I do this? How do I sacrifice? Then, how do I get past the fear of suffering? I don't think anyone doesn't want to be successful. What people don't want to do is they don't want to suffer to be successful. And the reason why these are affecting people so much, and I see this all the time in live streams, is because our brains don't comprehend this stuff. They don't get it, especially the fear part. And I want to explain how you can solve both of these, because once you solve both of these, everything becomes super easy. Once you know the sacrifice, you stop doing all the things that take you away from your goal. And so then everything you do takes you to your goal, whatever it may be. Once you get past your fear of suffering, you're going to just move towards your goal. That's it. You're just going to go towards your goal. So you stop doing the things that stop you from getting there, and you just head in that direction. You're going to get there. You're just going to get there. The problem is, it's very hard to do this. Here's exactly why. So first off, the fear of suffering. Our brains don't live in the future. We don't live in the future. We don't live 10 years from now. We don't live 20 years from now. We're living right now. So our brain's number one job is to avoid suffering right now. The fear of pain the fear of loss is the greatest motivator our brains can comprehend. That is the number one motivator you can ever have in your life. You're not going to ever have anything in your life that overcomes your fear of loss. You just will not. So, if that's the most powerful motivator, you have to learn how to make that motivator work in your favor. And it's really very simple to understand how to do that. Here's how. So the fear of suffering. You must think about it. Where are you at in your life right now? And are you not suffering if you're not where you want to be in your life? Think about your goals. Think about all the things that are super important to you. Think about where you want to be when you're 60 years old, 70 years old. Think of all the things you want to accomplish. Think of all the things that if you're not able to do in your life, you will be very upset about. Now think about where you currently are in your life. Is it going to take you to that place? Are the things you're currently doing every single day, your job, what you're working on, is it going to take you to that place? No. 99% of the time people are going to say no. This is where you're at right now. The reason why people don't go and chase their goals or become entrepreneurs is because staying where they're at right now is a lot lower suffering in their heads. If you don't go and start a business right now, you're not going to have to suffer right now. If you don't go and pursue your goals right now, you're not going to have to suffer that much right now. You're just going to have to suffer. The thing is, this is the scary part, because your brain doesn't live in the future. It doesn't see that what this is going to take you to is the ultimate suffering, the ultimate failure. Think about it. You're in this path right now, and you know it's not going to take you where you want to go. It's just not going to get you there, period. Not in 1,000 years is it going to take you there. So what's going to happen? So you're 25 years old right now. What's going to happen if you stay on this path? You're going to end up being 35. The same exact place, maybe making 10% more, still completely unfulfilled and not reached your goals. And more importantly, you're going to be 35 years old and stuck because it's a little bit too late to start going backwards. If you're going out there 35, don't worry. You can still start a business. You can still start pursuing your goals. But you've lost 10 years. First and foremost, you're going to have a lot less time to enjoy the goals when you achieve them because you just wasted a lot of time. More importantly, you're going to have to stop a lot of things. It's going to be 10 times harder to get out of it now because you're locked in. You're 10 years into it, 25 to 35. And so it's going to be 10 times even more painful. So not only are you going to be in the same place you are right now, still suffering, you're going to be more stuck. Now, add another 10 years. You're 45 years old, super stuck. You probably have kids, you have a family, whatever's going on in your life, your job career is there. You can't take any more risk, really. You are mega stuck. Fast forward another 10 years, you're 55. I mean, at this point in time, there's people that have started businesses and been successful at 55, and there's no excuse not to start for the purpose that I'm going to explain here in a second. But for the most part, you've achieved what is the ultimate failure. Your life is meaningless. You've done nothing that relates to your purpose. It's too late to start fighting crime like Batman, and you are stuck. You are in 6 feet of cement. That's where you are. And so you are going to suffer the ultimate suffering because not only are you suffering, not only is your life wasted, not only have you lost your purpose, not only is it too late to achieve any of the things you said when you were 25 years old, it's way too late to achieve those things you said were important to you, you're also stuck. So you're locked in hell. That is hell. I can't imagine a greater hell than looking back and saying, I didn't get anything I wanted in life. It's too late to get those things out of life. I'm done. That is the ultimate hell. That is it. So when you think about it and you compare that ultimate hell to suffering a little bit right now, you're going to suffer. You're suffering either way. If you're not making as much money as you want, if you're not building the thing that you want, you're not doing what you want when you want, you're suffering. And starting a business and being broke for a little bit, or going and chasing your goals and not making as much money, or not getting the financial returns, or being a little bit unsafe for a bit. What is wrong with being unsafe for a little bit? What is wrong with losing for a little bit? What's wrong with that? Have you ever lost before in your life? Did it ruin your life? No. In fact, it made you a lot stronger. So yeah, you're going to suffer. You're going to lose a little bit. You're not going to have all the comforts you are right now. But what's wrong with not having the comforts that you want right now? Because at the end of life, having the small comforts you have right now isn't going to make up for having a life that lacks complete purpose. In fact, if you didn't have any comforts, like Batman, who didn't get to enjoy any part of his life in the most technical, superficial sense, had a very, meaningful life, had a purposeful life. He's going to look back in his life and say, you know what? That was exactly what I wanted to do. And that's what matters, because people that avoid suffering aren't happy. You have to understand that. People that avoid suffering a whole lot. Think about a trust fund kid who never achieves or never does anything with his life. He could, but he doesn't. Most unhappy people ever. Because happiness comes from fulfillment and having a reason to get up and having a purpose. So the first thing I got to point out is if your fear is suffering, that's why you're not doing what you're doing, starting a business or pursuing your goals, you need to start thinking about 10 years from now, 20 years from now, because you're headed towards your ultimate hell. You're going to get there. It's going to happen. That's where you're going to end up. You're going to end up in hell. So you need to think, I'm going to suffer either way. So do I want to end up in hell? Or do I want to end up suffering for something that's worthwhile? Then it becomes very easy. You're going to say, okay, I'm going to take a few L's right now. I'm going to lose a little bit. But at least 20 years from now, I can say I took those L's and suffered for a reason. That's how you get past the fear of suffering. You're going to suffer either way. So I watched a Jordan Peterson video on this, and it made a lot of sense than stuff I was watching and thinking about a whole lot. That's the most obvious choice right here. I can't imagine a greater hell than 5 years from now not doing what I want, not having have tried. I can't. So you can either choose the ultimate hell in the future and suffer the entire way there for no reason, or you can choose to suffer right now, climb a Mount Everest. Yeah, it's going to suck. It's going to be a little bit hard. You're going to leave your comfort zone a little bit, but you get to be on the top of Mount Everest at the end. And the sooner you do it, the sooner you get to be on top of Mount Everest. Now, the second part to that is, how do I sacrifice? Because once you get over the fear of suffering, to go and get these results, you're going to have to sacrifice things to take away from your results. Look, people ask me all the time, how do you be successful? And while I'm not Bill Gates, I think I have a measurable level of success that most people would like to have. I think the most important measure of that is I get to wake up and do whatever the hell I want, whenever I want. For example, 2 weeks ago, I took a week off and played Breath of the Wild for a solid week. It was quite the binge, but I got to do exactly what I want whenever I want. That's the most important thing. It's not about the money or cash. However, it's very hard to get where you want to go if everything you do is counterproductive to that. People ask me, how do I become successful? And the most important thing, if you talk to anybody who's really successful, it's you stop doing the things that make you not successful. That's really rule number one. Do you watch 2 hours of TV a day? Imagine just what you did if you didn't do that. Do you eat bad foods that make you dumb? Imagine what you did if you just got your diet in order. Do you spend too much time partying and goofing off? Imagine what would happen if you just didn't do that. You didn't do that. You spent all your time working on it. Do you not go out there and do you spend your time doing stuff that's completely fruitless when you could have spent the 6 hours you wasted yesterday reading a book, improving your skills, researching your trade, and mastering something? If you just stop doing dumb things and replace them with good things, you're going to be really successful, because all you do is work towards good things. You just are. The problem is doing those good things is a sacrifice, because you don't get to enjoy those Fridays and Saturday nights out with your friends. You don't get to enjoy drinking. You don't get to enjoy video games. You don't get to spend and watch as much TV. You don't get to eat all the food that you want to eat. You don't get to do all the simple things that feel satisfying now. And so you have to sacrifice those things. The point is, you might think, well, what if I sacrifice all those things and I still don't get where I want to go? There's a bigger answer to that. So look, the way you sacrifice is you're never going to sacrifice stuff if you think you're sacrificing it in vain. You're just not. You're not going to stop partying with your friends on the weekends and getting drunk if that's really important to you. If that's the most important thing to you. If building your business is the third most important thing to you and getting drunk with your friends is the first most important thing to you, you're not going to do that. If getting laid is more important to you than being a faithful husband, guess what? You're going to cheat all the time. That's how it works. You don't get to decide and tell yourself what to do. You're going to go towards the thing that's most important to you. Always. So the secret to sacrificing is having something, a purpose, that is more important to you than the things you're sacrificing. That's all it is. That's it. It's done. Your job is done. The point is, you don't know what you want to sacrifice for. But what is the whole purpose of that? And so the way you stop doing all the dumb things is you find something that is more important to you than the dumb things. For example, I've completely given up drinking and partying. I don't do it. And Just besides when I'm on vacation, I don't play video games. Even though I love video games, I don't do it. I don't do it at all. 0%. And same thing with many other things I enjoy. One of my favorite things to do is go to dinner with friends, order 10 White Russians, get really buzzed, get really boozed up, and go have fun, go party and stuff like that. However, I don't do that. I do 0% of that. Because what is more important to me is building the things I envision. That's what gives me the ultimate fulfillment. Building the things that I love to build, working with my team, and being the best at it. That's the purpose. And it's not about even making money or success. That's my life's purpose. That's what I do. That's why I wake up. And no matter what I enjoy doing, no matter what the temptation is, it's not worth it to me because that's the purpose. That's what I'm living for. And so until you have that purpose, you're not going to make the sacrifices. For years, my purpose was just make money. And guess what happens when you go and just make money? Your purpose is to spend that money and go goof off with it. That's why most people that build businesses around money don't ever really become that successful, because the business exists to serve their purpose, which is to spend that money. Therefore, they never really become good at the business and they spend all their money. That's the nonsense right there. That's why a lot of athletes who are out partying all the time are not successful athletes, because their purpose is spending their money, not mastering their trade, which is their sport. That's why athletes like Kobe Bryant, who sacrifice going out and hanging out with their friends. There's many times, if you watch his documentary, where he was driving past colleges and said, did I make the right decision? I see all these kids enjoying their nightlife and enjoying the things that they're doing and getting drunk and hanging out with friends and going to parties, and I'm sitting here playing basketball at 2 a.m. in the morning and shooting 3 throws. That being said, look at where Kobe is right now. Do you think he'd go and change that decision? No, because he was willing to sacrifice and suffer then for his purpose. And his purpose, once you have that purpose, it pays off. And I just want to throw in the truly terrifying thing about this, the thing that should cause you the most pain overall and make you want to do this, make it not even a problem, is think about what was the most important thing to Kobe Bryant. He's a great example, very hard worker. It was to be one of the greats. This is, if we looked at it like a video game achievement marker, this thing is what he lived for. So if he went out there and said, you know what, I'm going to go party with all those people. I'm going to go do other stuff than play basketball. I'm going to go and enjoy my money and live it up. You know, I've earned it. You know, I should get the most out of life too. That's great. I'm going to go do the fun stuff. I'm not going to sacrifice, Here's the horrifying part. If this is the most important thing to you in your life, this is the sacrifice. You always have to sacrifice something. If you go out there and you decide to party, you decide to not live to your potential, you decide not to study and watch TV, you decide to screw off, that's fine. That's fine. Just know that it's not like you're not sacrificing something. When people go out there and think, I'm going to party, I'm going to live it up with friends and stuff like that, so I don't have to sacrifice everything. I'm going to have it all in life. That's not what's going on. That's not even remotely close to what's going on. What you're actively doing is you're sacrificing the thing that's most important to you. And so know that it doesn't matter what you're doing. You're choosing to sacrifice something. Just at the end of your life, you're going to look back and you're going to have sacrificed the thing that was really important for you for stuff that really wasn't that important to you. Do you really need those nights out? Do you really need to watch that sitcom? Do you really need to get that good at that online game? Do you really need good or do all these things? Are these things going to be stuff that you look back and go, that was important to me? Or are you going to look back and say, this was important to me? Because you're going to lose what's important to you. The end. So you better figure it out, because you're making the sacrifice every damn day when you don't. Making it every damn day. If Kobe Bryant was on his deathbed and he didn't achieve this thing, he would have been very resentful. But guess what? He achieved it. Because he didn't do this stuff. He said, this stuff I don't want out of life. I want this thing. And I'm not going to sacrifice this thing for this thing. It's that simple. If you stop doing all the dumb stuff and you're willing to suffer for that purpose, you get good at it and then you win, because people who are really good at something and that's all they're committed to beat people that aren't, and most people aren't, and that's how you win. So I just wanted to point this out because this is the most obvious answer to these questions. If you don't know how to sacrifice the things you know that are holding you back, every time you do them, you know. For example, when I got off my vacation week, I do a couple of those a year. I was going to pick up my Nintendo Switch controller and play some Super Smash Bros. And I feel the little voice in the back of my head saying, this has nothing to do with your purpose. This is taking you away from it. So I reached into my Nintendo Switch, grabbed out the game, and threw it in my swimming pool. See how simple that is? I don't do dumb shit anymore because that voice in the head tells you, and the voice in the head tells you every single time you pick up a drink or do something stupid. It's there. You just have to have a reason to listen to it. Then suffering. You're going to suffer either way. Except that you decide the more comfortable suffering in your head right now, you're just going to go to the ultimate hell. You're going to suffer for no reason. You're going to spend 30, 40 years at a job just to get to a place where your life still sucks. If you go and suffer for something that might hurt a little bit more right now, but it's okay. It's all right if it hurts. Everyone's been broke. Everyone's suffered a little bit. And no one defines a hero by who they were when they were going through the initial suffering. Think about Luke Skywalker. Who do you think of when you think of Luke Skywalker? Do you think about the kid at the beginning of A New Hope, or do you think about the guy at the end of Return of Jedi who sacrificed so much and is living his purpose, which is upholding the Force or whatever it is? That's why he goes and saves Darth Vader, because nothing is more sacred than that purpose. And so that's why Luke was able to go out there and do those incredible things. He didn't do the dumb stuff. He goes and trains to be a Jedi, and he's willing to suffer. And at the end of the day, Luke can check off, hey, my life was pretty good. Except if we include The Last Jedi, then there's a lot of resentful stuff going on in Luke's head. But that never happened, all right? That's not included in the timeline for me in Star Wars. So that's it, guys. That's all. Suffer and sacrifice. Also look out for live streams. They're pretty cool. See you later this week.